Welcome to the Startup Grind.
So thank you all for coming. Let me give you a quick background on Startup Grind for all of you who are new. So Startup Grind is a Silicon Valley organization. We are across around 185 cities just now, globally, around 85 countries. We conduct monthly events which are talk series. Our aim is to encourage, motivate all entrepreneurs across the globe. So we bring in some entrepreneur who's been there, done that, to share their experiences, share their stories, to sort of help us, motivate us on our way. So our guest today is Mr. Kumar Vembu of Zoho fame. I don't think he really needs too much of an introduction, but so he started his, he's an engineer from Madurai Kamaraj University, went to the US. He worked in Qualcomm for a while. Before that, he was with HCL for a bit. Then he joined his brother, started Vembu Systems, which was renamed Zoho, which I think everybody knows what Zoho is today. 2004, he resigned as president and he started his own company called Go Frugal, which is a point-of-sale system for retail shops as well as hospitality chains. So that's doing very successfully now. So, can you give him a big round of applause? Sorry, I have a sore throat, so my voice will keep cutting in and out. Yeah, so, thank you, Kumar.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So then I'll do it.
So let's start off with, given you were at a stage where you were in a very cushy job with Qualcomm, you were sitting in the US, you were having probably what is a dream job for most people sitting in India at that point. What made you give that up and decide to become an entrepreneur?
So I think this may sound boring to you. So actually, I was working in India for 4 years before going to the US. So I worked in the TNET group of IIT Madras with Dr. Bujinwala and the current IIT director, Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy, for about 2 years, where I was doing some chip design, doing some embedded programming, some board design, so a lot of work. And then I joined HCL HP in their R&D. So I was working there for about 2 years. Again, we built a couple of products. One product from the ground up called Landstone, that's a terminal server, where it was a lot of interesting work to me. So when I went to, I first got body shopped to Intel in Portland, Oregon, in their supercomputing systems division. So I spent about 3 months there. So I was told the project I was working on is a super secret project. Right? So every day I'll go to office, I had a project, I will ask some questions. They will say they will consult their legal and find out whether I have access to that information. So I will sit idle and come back. So because I used to be very busy in India, that was really killing me. So I picked up fight with my employer and a lot of other people because being idle is the hardest thing to do for me. So then I got a job in Qualcomm and came to San Diego. Myself and my brother Sridhar stayed together. And in Qualcomm also, the way they were structured is there is a system engineering division that will do all the R&D, all the design and things like that. And there is a software engineering division. So as per the organization structure, the software engineers are sort of the second class or third class citizens in Qualcomm. So they are not so in India, you have always worked on the most respected job, right, in the company. Whereas there, I found myself not having much to do. So in fact, they had a nice 150 square feet room to every individual in the office. So I used to cook 3 times a day. I used to come back to the office, lock the door and sleep. So they were paying me for that. So again I started picking up fights. So then my brother Sridhar, he used to, whenever we go to shopping, which will be once a week because both of us are not fond of shopping or anything. So he will always look at where is the product made. So whatever he picks up. So he will say, see, this is made in Guatemala. Do you know where is Guatemala? So then I also started this habit. And you will find, I have learned names made in some country name that I have never heard of. So then at the end of it, we won't buy anything. We will do window shopping. We will keep talking about, Banana Republic people make product, Guatemala people make product. There is nothing made in India in any shelf. So one day I told him, okay, this is really a torture for me because I am not having anything to do in the office. I am only cooking here. Right? So I will go and try to make something. So I became a good cook in the US. So I came back. Because every meal I used to cook for about 5 to 10 people. So I always had multiple chauffeurs. So even though I stayed in the US for a year, I never learned driving because I had many fans for my cooking. So I came back and in 95, exactly 363 days after leaving India, because I have not worked for 1 year, I got more energy and I wanted to do something. So that's how I came back.
So what made you get into IT? What made you get into software at that point? When you started Vembu Systems?
No, I only knew software.
And
See, in 1990 when I graduated, I studied in AC College of Engineering, Karaikudi. So it's between on the road to Rameswaram from Trichy. 150 kilometers before Rameswaram for people who don't know the place. So in 86 to 90, about 80% of my stay there was not even a TV in that place. So our college didn't have computer or anything. So only in 90 January, I think the computer center was open. And there was nothing there. So in 90, I joined IIT. And, I felt I actually didn't know anything because most of the time we were just taking it easy in college. I thought Professor Junjunola made a mistake by offering me a job. So before he figures that out, I wanted to learn something and do something useful. So that's how I started working for about 15, 16 hours a day. Because I don't want to lose the job and go and sit at home as a jobless engineer because my father is a terror. He will remind me of that every day. And I had already spent 6 months at home before I found this IIT job. And if you know, 1990 was not a year, one of the best years to graduate because in 91 is when India mortgage loans and things like that. So it was very difficult to find a job. So we were staying in Tambaram, but I moved into IIT hostel and first 6 months, 9 months, I used to spend all the time in the lab in IIT. So that before they figure out I know nothing, I want to do something and keep my job. In the process, I learned that actually software comes a little naturally to me, because I liked doing it. Otherwise, it's very hard for me to sit in a place for an hour or two, except other than cooking and doing something about software. These are the only things I found out I can concentrate on, nothing else. So that was, I think, good time for getting into software.
So you started off Vembu Systems. How did you sort of approach your first set of customers? Because at that point, you would have been an unheard of name. You would have been probably you and your brother started it without actually a big team. So how did you actually go out to a customer and convince them to buy your product?
Actually, fortunately, all my ex-bosses helped. So and similarly, there were a lot of friends who were willing to help. So I think we never have to sort of go to customers. Sort of customers came to us. So in fact, one of the first things we did in Vembu Systems was a joint product with IIT Madras. So then my other boss in HCL, he gave a contract. Then my brother's friend Tony Thomas, we started working with him on a joint product. So we we just started and we had the customers paying us, or people paying us, and we were developing product together with them, or we were developing product on our own. And so it was generating surplus cash. I would say 2 months before I even got my company registered. So we started the first work in February 96. The company got registered on April 2nd, 96. So that means
4 months.
I had, I have to have I have 2 customers check in my hand to go and fight with the bank to open the bank.
So this is more a right place, right time, a lot of goodwill situation there.
Yeah, we were very lucky.
How did you convince your first set of employees? Because one is convincing the customer, but the other side is getting your first set of employees. In time when startups were not a thing. Like when you told somebody I'm going to work in a startup in the mid 90s or late 90s, nobody would have even thought.
No, actually, again we were lucky because I have 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. Right? So I would say out of the first 25 employees, probably about 10 are my younger brother Sekhar's friends in IIT or school or college or cricket or whatever. So I think he had a good, maybe 3-4 are my friends. And, because my friends all had a 5-year experience, so they have to be sort of convinced of. Whereas my brother Sekhar's friends were just finishing college or 1-year experience kind of people. And my sister Radha was in college, so her friends are more easier to recruit. My youngest brother Mani was in final year BE, so his friends were easier to recruit, right? Because they were all not. So the first 20-25 people is all 90% through references, and most of them sort of were looking for a job or they know us personally and things like that.
But how do you convince, apart from the guys you knew personally, how do you convince them to come and join you when most likely couldn't pay the market salary because at that point you're still bootstrapping and
No, actually we were paying market salary, whatever was that day's market.
you were able to manage that with the cash inflows coming in. So, on the other side, how were you able to compete with probably larger companies or other startups coming up for client migration?
No, as I said, see, if you look at the first product, the SLMP API, Java was very new. Nobody was building a product in Java. So among developers, there is a sort of a craze to have Java in their resume, right? So that means under this Java SLMP API was also freely available, free for developers. Once they develop their application, they have to pay a one-time fee. So I think it's probably, Tony had this great idea of making it free. So that means whoever Java was just starting up, anybody does a Java search, Java network management or something, without us doing much of Google SEO, SEM, we're also new. Right? And there are not going to be many people when you do that search and we were the only one that it returns. So even though we had I would say compared to the quality of products we built today, they were sort of not maybe shitty quality, right? But still people want it because that's the only thing available. When customers, you collaborate with customers without knowing. So most of your customers become your testers. They ask questions, you give ideas. Right? The good thing is we had people who really loved serving the customers. So that means that many people, without us saying anything, they will sort of, till the time customers keep asking questions, they will stay in the office and answer. Only for an hour or half an hour, there are no questions, people will leave the office. Right? So that you learn from customers and improve the product. So whatever they say in Ajay today, right? We probably started doing them without realizing because I don't think that day Agile was documented and available. But whatever are the four fundamental principles they talk about Agile, we were doing them without knowing that's actually the best practice. So that turned out to be a good thing.
When you start scaling up, what most startups end up doing is, they say, okay, this product is working, this product is not working, they start pivoting their businesses. So when you start doing that, you need to have some sort of a metric that you need to look at to figure out, okay, am I on the right track? Am I hitting a wall? This is the growth I can do. I need to pivot to something else. So what kind of metrics did you look at?
So actually, maybe I personally was not in that in the position to decide that, because I was heading engineering and mostly the operations, right? So marketing and this is not something I was looking at. So whereas based on the market feedback, developing the product is what I was focused on, how to get the product developed in the best way, how to prioritize the market feedback and things like that. So, but in the initial years, maybe the first 5 products we built are all for the same market. So we had this SNMP API, agent toolkit for building management agents, an agent simulator, a management builder, a visual, what you see, what you get, kind of a visual builder tool for management, then a WebLMS, element management system, and things like that. All these products did well financially, so we never have the same market, same customers, different needs of the same customer. So that means one customer can buy all these things. So in that sense, we never have to look at changing something. And when we were changing something, I decided to look at the Indian market. I thought every 3 months going to US or going to China, Japan, taking calls at 4:30, keeping awake till midnight. I felt I wanted to work in the same time zone as my customers. So I felt the India Shining campaign was going on. So I thought maybe error in judgment in retrospect, in hindsight, right? So I got I was sold by the India Shining campaign. Unfortunately, India didn't shine in the next 10 years. Hopefully, now I'm keeping the hopes on good. So let's see.
So when you decided to do products for the same customers, different products for the same customer, was it a customer requirement that is because you will engage the customer regularly, the customer says, hey, what you're doing one product, can you do these other 2 solutions for me? Or is it something that you decided in-house, okay, this is the skill sets that we have, why don't we build out these products and then take it to the same customers because they're probably another requirement.
We decided. So a couple of products are my ideas, a couple of products are Tony's ideas. So we decided that because we are anyway going to that customer, we know these are the other things that we can do for the same customer. So I think even in our current business, we always look at how can we increase the revenue from the same customer, because that brings down the cost of sale, or that makes the sale more profitable. So the first thing we look at is what can we sell to the same customer, because then you don't have to introduce yourself, you don't have to prove yourself, and you can the sale becomes a lot easier. So as a cost of sale comes down, the lifetime value of the customer, or average revenue from the same customer in their lifetime keeps increasing, the per year keeps increasing. So the first thing we look at is, I look at even now is, what more can I do for the same customer?
How easy is it to convince the customer, because you'll probably be known for this particular type of product, right? So let's say, as an example, you are known for your HR software or for your finance software. How easy is it for you to tell the customer, I'm doing this, but I can do a CRM, I can do a marketing software? So they actually
it is easy, because the customer See, finally, customers want to know, even if the product doesn't meet their needs, whether we, stand with the decision maker, right, and help them in the adoption. In fact, very often we used to say one thing in the early days of Vembu Systems and Apple. There is a saying in US, right? Nobody gets fired for buying the big blue. So if you buy something from IBM, meaning this is in pre-2000, I don't know about IBM today, right? So, but nobody gets fired for buying from big blue. So that means that our goal was we wanted to be like that, because finally, if our product we sell to somebody, an individual makes a decision, we let him down, then he faces a lot of flake in his organization, and maybe that guy may lose his job also. So because we were doing a product for developers, it so happened that there were lots of, these are all luck playing a role, because in '96, when we were building products for telecom OEM, we didn't know that telecom is going to be the in thing in '99 and 2000 and 2001, where everybody will be doing a dot box, right? So there were lots of telecom OEMs, lot of venture capital chasing the telecom OEM, lots of OEMs licensing our software and things like that. So a developer who is the director of engineering in this company will buy our product. He will become a VP of engineering in the next company, buy our product. He will become the founder and CTO or CEO in another company and buy our product. So in the 3 years, many of our customers bought our product 3 times in 3 different companies. So those are all things where luck plays a huge role. Right? So I think most important lesson for us is we want to be a company where nobody gets fired because they chose us. So we walk the extra mile to make sure the guy who made the decision in our favor always gets priority treatment, and we walk the extra mile to understand their need and do what it takes to satisfy them.
So you're talking about walk the extra mile. You were talking about some of the employees who refuse to go home till the customers start asking questions. How do you keep these employees motivated? Apart from one set who knew you personally, as you scale, you would have had more employees. And given that you are not a company that's looking at IPO and all of that, these jobs might not work. So how do you keep them motivated, keep them going?
See, I think the simple thing is, what is the work culture? Right? So if the work culture is like, there is a lot of collaboration, there is a sort of in fact today there are terminologies for that. I don't know how many of you read about Google research on for the last 4 years on what makes some teams work and what makes some teams not work. Did any of you read that? Okay, good. So there is also a TED talk by a lady called Margaret Heffernan on the same topic, right? So maybe if you want to listen to that, you can search Super Chicken TED talk. So she talks about what makes team work together. So today they talk about social connectedness. So how well people know each other, right? So then both the research talk about, is there a culture of helpfulness in the team, right? Where people help each other, and then do people do joint work? So if there is a problem, as the manager or team lead, just to give instruction on what to do, or he knows when to sit with the person and work on the problem together, right? And whether so these are some of the cultural attributes. So there are many things. In the Google article also, they found out after 4 years of research studying various teams in Google, they found out that this social connectedness, this culture of helpfulness, these are the things that play a very important role, and where the team members respect each other. So you don't have, in fact, in the Super Chicken video, the Margaret Heffernan will say, there are no passengers or no superstars in your team. So everybody is a equal team member, or people spend equal time with each other. So there is no favorite of the team leader. There are no, sort of a team leader wants to avoid kind of a person. Right? So everybody sort of feels equal and things like that. Probably by accident, I would say we started following many of this from our early days. Maybe even I relearned many of these things recently, on how to articulate these things, right? Because of thanks to Margaret Heffernan and Google. But I think wherever teams work, they stick together, they do very well. Based on my personal experience, I can say you should listen to Margaret Heffernan Super Chicken video and read the Google's research on this. Why some teams are successful, others are not. If we practice that, I think pay is secondary. Meaning, finally, people have to enjoy. In fact, for the last 3-4 years in Go Frugal, we ask people to report their, what is their emotion when they leave work. Are they happy? Are they feeling challenged? Are they feeling unhappy? Right? So the thing is, the one thing, I don't measure profit. I don't measure the number of customers. The number one metric I measure is my guy leaving the office happy. Right? Then if anybody says they are facing a challenge or they are facing a roadblock or they are facing some issue or something, is the team leader helping them overcome that? If team leader is not able to help, I will go. So every day my job is I help 5 people, 6 people, who feel challenged on some work. To overcome that challenge, right? Whether it is anything it is about. Right? At least I tell them, till I cry, mom. I say I can't solve it, I am helpless. Then let's work together on that problem. So if we just focus on, like we want every individual to be happy, right? Then the environment becomes an equitable environment, right? Where everybody has a fair chance to win. Then the environment becomes more open, more transparent. Right? People share their ideas. People don't fear anything. Right? They enjoy the work. Then even when they think some other company can pay 30% more, the first thing that crosses their mind is, will I get similar environment? Can I carry this environment to another company? And most people find that when they talk to their friends, when they talk to their classmates in other companies and things like that, they find that, okay, this culture is heaven. Right? This culture is worth sacrificing the 25% or 30%. And that's what the people who value the culture do. There are definitely people who find that culture not healthy because they want a more hierarchical culture or they want a place to hide. They want to be a passenger in the team. They will anyway leave. So we have a healthy attrition where people who don't fit into the culture will leave. But people who fit into the culture really enjoy it. Your productivity goes up.
In terms of marketing, when Zoho was started as Vembu Systems and advent and then Zoho, online marketing was not what it is today. Online itself was not really what it is today. So how easy was it for you to start marketing globally? Because see, US you had one of your brothers there, you were sitting here, you started going to Europe, you started going to Asia. How did you do it?
I'm actually the wrong person to answer this. So when we were, as I told you, when we were selling in the US, I wasn't doing anything with sales and marketing. We had enough fires in product development, right? And we were only taking freshers. So I spent a lot of time in training people, scaling up our processes, introducing the best practices, best tools in engineering and things like that. So I'm still learning marketing. So if you talk to me about culture or engineering practice or supporting customer and things like that, I definitely.
So the next question is more on a high level, where Zoho is, I think, best known as Chennai's largest startup which did not take external funding. What is the logic behind it?
No, there is no logic.
Yeah, no,
So,
sorry,
say these are more emotional decisions. Right? Meaning, it's basically like, you can look at it as a, you are contented. Right? You can look at it as whatever we are able to have our growth ambition or our vision limited to whatever cash we have in the bank and whatever we want to spend, right? So we are okay to grow the pace at which our sales growth is or whatever, right? So I think each person sort of operates in their comfort zone. Right? And these are more emotional decisions than rational. Because rationally, I don't think there is any logic behind why one company is this way or that way. Right? It's each one's comfort zone.
you have, I mean, you're best known for bootstrapping to success. One of your ex-employees is Great Shoes, now one of the highest funded companies of Chennai. So, coming back to the question of people here, when you're talking about making people happy, you also have this innovative streak that you encourage your people in Google by saying, okay, you create your ideas, you can build it out. What with an entrepreneur become an intrapreneurial instead? You have something like that.
Yeah, definitely. See, when, like I said, when you have this open environment, that means everybody is open to share their feedback, share their ideas. Then, as a team leader or whatever, your job becomes more of managing ideas.
If you as promoters support that idea with some money and say, okay, this is great, let's go ahead.
See, a lot of times, 60% of the ideas probably don't even come to you. Right? People execute it. So that is the freedom we have to give. Because the moment I or somebody else will sit in judgment of every idea, then we will kill most of the ideas. Right? Or a lot of people will wait for their ideas to be heard. So I think if we encourage, the kind of culture I was talking about, then there is also freedom in terms of, with some people to execute the different ideas they get. Right? So that means people can, for example, say that, okay, this is the idea, I want to prototype it for a couple of months. Right? Or I want one or two resources to prototype something. So that is the kind of thing that is encouraged. So that people have the moment they have that outlet for expressing their ideas or executing their ideas. Maybe 50-60% of the time they themselves don't back their ideas, because otherwise, I find many students today, they come and say, I love Android programming, I want to be a mobile app developer. Okay, you are 21 now, what have you done for mobile app development? The guy says, no, I just have this interest, I have not tried anything. Right? Then if you are not backing your idea, why should I? Right? So the first test of, with any idea is, are you willing to go the extra mile and staying late in the office or coming early to the office and doing something about an idea? In fact, today we even have books written about any idea can be spiked in 5 days, right? With a small team. That kind of thing is true freedom. Right? I think that is what we also strive to encourage and establish. Many times, 60% people don't back their own ideas, maybe 70%.
So, what made you after 2004 to leave Zoho, set up on your own Go start Go Frugal and start up there?
Yeah, I think there are 2-3 things. One is definitely the India Shining campaign. Right? I thought, if India is going to grow, right, the IT market in India will also grow at a maddening pace, right? So, that was a good opportunity because we know how when Chinese company grew, the ERP vendors or software product companies in China took off. Even how like I looked at QuickBooks growth, is linked to the industrialization and automation in America. So similarly, Sage or SAP growth is linked to the automation and industrialization in UK and Europe. Right? The MyOB growth is linked to the Australia, New Zealand, and some of the Asia Pacific countries. So we know when India grows, there will be local. See this, if you look at retail, there is no global leader in retail. So it will be a local or a country-specific vendor kind of a market. Right? So I am a little bit of a lazy guy, so I didn't want to compete with the global market with global biggies. So I looked at what will be a little safer also. If I want to be in India, I'll do it in India. So I felt that this is looking like a one good opportunity where if I looked at all the examples in the world, there were region-specific market leaders. It's not a global market leader situation. Then that's the time when Reliance Communication was launching the Reliance Telecom in India. So there was an article about the Reliance, how Reliance is launching the Reliance Telecom in Business India magazine. So I happened to read that, where Mukesh Ambani was saying, they consider the 5 billion people in the developing world as their market. The 1 billion in developed world is not their market. Because he was saying the 5 billion, their affordability is different. Right? For example, he was giving example of video on demand in America, where AT&T is offering it at $80 a month in 2003, 2004. Whereas in India, if it is offered at $80 a month, not even 0.1% of people can afford it. So the way they worked out the pricing for their phone, 400, 500 rupee for the phone and 50 paisa or 30 paisa for the call, is by working backward. So if we price it like this, how much of the pyramid I can cover? If I increase the price to 1 rupee per minute per call, 1 minute, 1 rupee per minute, then the size of the market goes down. So they worked backwards, got their suppliers to supply equipment to the financial model they have built. Right? So I got sold by, the developing world requires a different kind of a solution, maybe because I had worked with Dr. Vembu also. Right? That again resonated with me. Then that is the year when Bill Gates visited India for the first time. So there was an interview between Narayana Murthy and Bill Gates in NDTV, where Bill Gates was saying, why are Indian engineers interested in fixing Seattle municipality's problem? Why can't they fix Mumbai municipality's problem? And then I felt there are so many problems in our own backyard, why look at problem in America? Right, so, and lose my sleep over it. Right, so I thought, it looked like a better opportunity for me. Right, but I was foolish.
So when you get into retail, right, it would have been a whole different ballgame from what you were used to, different client base and all of that. So how easy was it for you to actually start off the ground, sitting here, working here, for clients here in a completely different business?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know what it is to sell to an Indian customer, Indian market. I didn't know retail. So, it is like, I was totally ill-equipped to do what I am doing now. That time. Today, I think I am very fully equipped. Right? But it took me 3-4 years to figure that out. I'm making a lot of mistakes and things like that. So honestly, like I looked at the market, the India shining. I know, I visited many companies, so I took 6 months to sort of go on a Bharat Darshan, right, and visited probably about 200, 300, some companies, some system integrators, some even banks, some small-time business people. So a lot of people. I spent 6 months, just touring many places in India. And I thought, in fact, one of my friend that time joked with me. 5 years later, when I was running Go Frugal, he joked with me when I was sharing a story. It was like anybody most people who are servicing computer hardware, who know how to replace a mouse or how to replace the keyboard or how to open the computer and put an add-on card. They have all become CTOs or CIOs in Indian companies. So they don't make good evaluation and the software decision. They go by the brand name of the vendor and the value buying that software will add to their resume and things like that. In fact, when I went on this Bharat Darshan, that was my reading of the situation also. So I thought, I have to sell only to the owner of the business, not to a CIO or a IT head of a business in 2004. So I thought retailer is the only guy, or one of the guys I know who is sitting in the shop all the time. So I thought selling it to him will be very easy because he knows what he wants and he knows his pain points. So I picked retail. So that's how I picked. Looked at the market. I picked where as a startup we will have a chance to sell. But one thing I didn't anticipate is that retailers are sort of born negotiators, and I didn't pick up. I haven't still learned how to negotiate with them. So I make lousy deals. So.
In terms of scaling up Go Frugal, again, you have tried doing it totally bootstrap, not getting any external funding. So, how easy or how difficult is it? Because obviously the deals that you are doing here would be smaller than what you would have done in Zoho, which is a larger IT firm, larger client. So, the money in the bank at that point, apart from what you brought in, would be even smaller. So, how easy is it to scale?
No, it's not bootstrapped in the sense we didn't build the company and the profits it makes every month. So because of, many times there is a saying in economics, you don't optimize on resources that is in abundance. Right? So you only optimize on resources that you don't have. So when I started first time, or when we started first time, we didn't have money. So we optimized on that. So when I started second time, I had money. So I wasn't optimizing. In hindsight, that was a mistake. But many times you learn from your mistakes. Right? So too much of anything is very bad. So I wasn't optimizing on money. So because of that, I made a lot of mistakes that I wouldn't have made if I was starved for money. So I think if I didn't have most of the money I had, I would have been a much more successful guy in money is quite
Over your time in Zoho and Go Frugal, what would you say were, let's say, one or two of your biggest challenges and how did you overcome?
See, I think with Zoho, I would say I probably felt I had a Midas touch. That means you were probably very lucky. Right? Anything you touch turns into gold. Right? Whereas with Go Frugal, right, as I said, I started, in fact, there is I think Paul Graham's article on, he gave in the Stanford startup course. I don't know how many of you have read that. So, I read that. In fact, I put it, he was asked to talk about what will make a startup successful. So he said that he doesn't know or he doesn't want to talk about. So he spoke about what are all the things that will surely lead to a failure. Right? So I took each one of the things he says and put it into the Excel sheet and evaluated. So one of the first ones is, if you are a single founder company, you are doomed to fail. Right? So when I did that evaluation, I found with Go Frugal, I have made every mistake in it. And I am still surviving, so that's a big achievement. So that's the challenge. So you should read that because that's one of the best things. If you don't want to make any of those mistakes, because I know by experience that he is 100%. You need a lot of money in your bank account to survive making all the mistakes. Because each mistake costs you money, it creates a lot of stress. In fact, I consider myself lucky after making all the mistakes. I didn't get, maybe because of my personality, I still have some money in my bank account, and I don't have diabetic BP or heart attack or nothing, right? But I have made every mistake in the book.
The last question before I hand it over to them for questions is, what would, if you had to say two things to, new entrepreneurs, startups, what would your advice be?
See, I think this Mark Andreessen's article on product market fit. Have you read that? Okay, maybe that's another, whichever religion you are in, Bible or Bhagavad Gita, Quran or whatever, right? Read it. Because, so in that Mark Andreessen talks about what makes a company successful. So is it the product, is it the team, is it investment, what is it? And after some, good analysis based on his experience and things like that, he says it's the product market fit. In fact, we were lucky to have that. In the sense, if you take the Java SNMP API, right? So he talks about that because you build a very buggy product. If there is product market fit, market needs the product. Your customers, help you build the product. Whereas you build a great product, if there is no product market fit, then you are not able to, get your customers. Then you think the marketing guy is inefficient, the sales guy is lacking in effort. Then the engineering guy doesn't deliver, or the support guy is not serious about his job. Then you start fighting, and the team integrates. So if there is product market fit, team can have differences of opinion, but still you pull together because the success binds you together, right? And the shared goal or shared vision binds you together. So the first and most important thing is to have that product market fit. And the second important thing is, this culture. What kind of culture we build, right? I would say, Margaret Heffernan talk, and this Google research. There are many things on that. It's a culture. Right? So from day one, even between co-founders and things like that, do we have the right culture in place? Because that saves you from a lot of trouble. Right? And even when there are problems or challenges or opportunities or whatever, the culture is one element that makes the journey enjoyable.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to give the floor open to Q&A.
Hi. So, since you work with your brother, I suppose very aligned with, I have a couple of questions. So, very aligned with your brother's vision, did you buy it? That's my first. And of course, you had said why you returned to India. Did you ever regret, later on, of course, you are seeing your brother's success. And the third thing is, now it's a totally different scenario. Is something cooking, or you have any other plans apart from Go Frugal? And
see, actually, one great habit to develop is never to regret. Look forward, right? They say don't look at the rear view when driving, right? So I think by nature, I'm blessed with that. Right? So that means that There has never been any regret because I enjoy what I am doing. So that is a good thing. And with respect to this, vision, right? The vision keeps evolving, right? So definitely, we worked on it 10 years together. Probably I spent average 3 hours a day on phone with them, right? So that means we were working together very closely. So because there is a shared vision, right? So definitely everybody worked very hard. But it keeps evolving. So in 2004, I am sitting in India, I see India shining, I watch Narayana Murthy video. He doesn't see all that, right? So then, right, when we have to do something else, right, I wanted to do something that we can sell in India. Right? I mean, he is sitting in Silicon Valley, he is looking at something else. Right? So, predominantly, market is US. My personal situation is also, I felt, after 10 years of average spending 4-5 hours on the phone and working 9-10 hours in the office, I wanted a market to be India. In fact, one of the first thing I wanted to look at is I want to work in the same time zone as my customer. So today, that's my first priority. I can't have a customer in a different time zone. That's it. So today, that is one thing. I know this market. I am socially connected in this market. I collaborate with customers in this market. Right? My customers help me here. So whatever culture I talked about, I find that to be a more rewarding journey. Right? So on your third thing of is anything cooking, in fact, we are we started off as a company when the internet penetration in India in 2004 is practically non-existent. Right? So we have done many first in Go Frugal. In fact, we have the B2B business process automation tools we launched in 2005. And we were the first ones to even say 100% of our support would be remote support. We won't visit customers. Right? So, now, this digital thing is happening. Over the last couple of years, we have been focused a lot on how can we be the a vendor for a digital. So we are sort of giving a completely digital experience to our customers, our own people. So that means this digital thing is a journey where I find that a lot of middlemen, whether it is in the office or in the market, can be eliminated. Right? So that means that we are looking at every business process we have supported from a digital angle and simplifying them and building the tools and things like that. So hopefully in the next 6 months to a year we will launch it. And I find that actually creating a level playing field for all incumbents and newcomers. So that means the market is sort of going to be new all over again. Because every one of my target customer will want to be a digitaler because of the economic benefits and the peace of mind it can bring. So in that sense, we are reinventing ourselves for the digital world, and that's a big project.
So culture starts right from home. And so culture starts right from home, and Zoho University is quite famous among students now. So what do you think is very essential for maintaining the culture? Start with train, continue with the train and hire model, or bring in experienced professionals who can enhance the culture or keep it?
It's very difficult. There is no one answer. See, because you say experienced person, do you know them? Are they aligned to your culture? Right? So that is very important. Many times, I now have 36 years experience. It's very hard for somebody to change my culture, my professional culture. So either I fit in or I don't. So that's the sort of the thing with experience. Whereas if somebody does not have much of an experience, in fact, we say they are like clay. Most of them you can mold them the way you want, right? So there are both costs and benefits. Working with freshers is not easy, especially today, right? So it's hard, right? And when you work with a lot of freshers, sometimes you find that their ambition and their goals don't match with yours, and the ambition can be high. So both come with a lot of cost and many benefits, but it's a journey. You learn from your experience.
So you had your company, basically both the companies were bootstrapped. So in short, you were all about optimizing based on whatever you have. So say for example, you were developing a product and you had, most of us have a big idea about that product, but we can't immediately go for that big idea. So what was your checklist to prioritize the minimum viable features of your product so that you can get it kickstart and later on keep developing it? That is my question.
See, coming to defining what the minimum viable product is actually a very challenging exercise. It's not easy. But you have to look at, can the customer do something start to finish with what is there in the minimum viable product. Right? So it is not like a bunch of features where they cannot do anything completely. They can do one workflow completely. Right? They can do whatever checks and balances have to be there, whatever best user experience can be there, whatever different roles are involved in that, and in a reasonable depth. Right? So can people do that? So instead of saying I will do 10 half-baked features, it's better to do one very complete use case. Right? Because that shows people, the kind of depth you can go to for every other use case.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So multiple times you say that it's hard to sell to Indian customers. So what are the pains you have faced and how do you solve it? Because as a startup we are also trying to face that, so it will be helpful for us.
I plan to write a book on it.
What is the
No, maybe I want to answer it. Well, he can wait for the book since he is trying to sell to an Indian customer, right? See, I think the fundamental problems, is India ranks 168th or something, or 118th among 168 countries in something. In what? Huh? So March sometime there was something called the UN World Happiness Day. So that time UN had done a survey. So fundamentally, like India is 118th in the list of 168 countries in happy people. Right? So when you anything you want to sell to happy people, right? It is easy. Anything you sell to unhappy people, right? They will find reason to make themselves unhappy. I think that's a fundamental reason. as a country, we have to become a happier country if business have to really progress. Right? And so this also means, do people trust the other person? Right? So if you, in fact, one of my ex-employees works in Dubai. Right? He was telling me, in Dubai, when you sell, people buy based on what you say. Right? Because they believe what you say is what is there in the product. Right? Here, what you say, if you say something, it will create more doubt. What they see will create doubt. What they experience will create doubt. Right? If all questions are answered, they will have an unknown fear. What will happen if I buy and you run away? If you take my money and run away? Now, overcoming all that, you have to do a deal. That means it takes a long time. So, because, like my customer has seen today my product, he has experienced it, I have given trial, I have answered all his questions, he will stop taking the phone because he doesn't know what to tell now. He has to overcome his fear. Right? Because, even if the money is not big, people worry about reputation. Right? Because every decision is a risk. So at least, whether it is a professional or a businessman, the businessman is worried about, he pays money and I don't deliver. In his community or in his family, people say, he was careless or he made a mistake. Right? So because every decision sort of affects your reputation. Right? People are shit scared about making a decision. Or, every decision, maybe in people's office also, people are afraid of going and telling the boss. People are afraid of going and telling their dad. Dad is afraid of going, somebody is afraid of going and telling his partner. All that problem is there. So indecisiveness is very high.
So how did you overcome?
See, you become a brand name. So I think there is no you can't. There is no shortcut here. There are only 2-3 things. One is using references. So that means we sell to somebody, can we sell in his social network, can we sell in his professional network? Right? Then it becomes easier because people will tell, these are not guys who will take your money and run. Right? So you sort of expand within the same network kind of a thing. And that means the first guy you signed up will always be wanting special favors. Right? Not only in terms of discount, whatever he says have to be done. Right? If you don't do that, you lose the network. Right? So there are, nothing comes free. You have to really, really earn everything, including goodwill. I think in Western market it is not like that. So people, you satisfy them, they are happy about giving reference. Right? In India, my experience is a lot of people ask, okay, what will I get if I give a reference? So I think in India today, this 10% culture is a big business culture that is building up. Right? For example, somebody tells me there is a shop opening up there, he will say, I told you, give me 10%.
So, Sridhar target is that people by Salesforce is what Zoho is a competitor, but why not having Go Frugal like that? Very global, challenge something else big in the outside India.
Yeah, we will be. When we launch it for the digital, we are definitely launching it for the global market. So,
What drives you? What drives you?
what? drives you. Some people get satisfied content sometime or other. Some people start but never. What drives you? What is going to drive you? See, when I see what we are able to create, for example, every product we have is just an idea or something. Even when we build a lousy product, we feel happy. Right? So I think every day I can get up, in fact, with an open mind, right? Learn something, and whatever idea I get, I have the freedom to sort of execute that idea and fail 80% of the time. I learn from it, get up again, right? I think that gives me a high meaning. So different people have addiction to different things, right? So maybe that's my dope.
What is your opinion about product company versus services company? Why have consistent features in product? And as a corollary, do you think the product company is riskier?
I think I read recently about what Stephen Covey, right? He says about what freedom is. Does anybody know what he says is freedom? I think, to me, in a product company, every person, if the culture of the company is right, every person can enjoy freedom. Meaning, it only gets better. Different degrees of freedom initially, but they can truly enjoy freedom. Happiness is linked to freedom. Right? So what Stephen Covey says, what is freedom is, there is self-awareness, there is self-consciousness, conscious, right? You are creative. So, most of our product team, if you look at, the team decides, what is coming what is the next story. Definitely, if we ship a lousy product, we pay for that karma. You spend a lot of time in supporting customers and giving hot fixes and things like that. But if you ship quality product, then you decide what is the next step, right? As a team, right? So you assess what customers want, you assess what market wants, you assess what competitors do. So there is a lot of freedom that people experience. So I think that means every individual in a product company can perform to their potential. Right? Whereas in a service company, end of the day, you have to fill a timesheet. You have to be answerable to every minute of your time to the client, right? And many times, you unfortunately end up fudging your timesheet because you don't have enough to fill. Right? Then you may actually end up coming home guilty. So in a product company, we can create an environment where you are answerable to yourself. That's very difficult in service company because some people have to be answerable. So I think, to me, I have seen some service company in close quarters. In fact, when I worked in HCL, I was in a product. So HCL HP was doing product that time. But when I started a company, the contract we did it for Hewlett Packard, so I looked at the service companies. So I felt this, the way you can enjoy your freedom and be happy. You can create an environment where everybody can be happy. That is something that truly differentiates a product.
this? Was bootstrapping a
Bootstrapping?
conscious responsibility for Zoho not to raise funds specifically even after a certain point when you might know it? And others, what's your guideline on the finance phase that's going on? The concept of raising capital is going on in the past 3 to 4 years. There are some companies that definitely need more to raise funds to move further, but it's really if they're not able to raise funds. So, what's the advice for entrepreneurs to know? Either concentrate on business by bootstrapping, concentrate on business profits, and be quite positive or what?
Yeah, I think, like as I said, in the initial days we were lucky, right? And we are always, whatever plan can be funded by whatever money we have in our bank account, right? So that means there is never a need to sort of take equity, right? So in fact, I listened to Paras talk on Wingify. Right? So he also talks about how he left his job only when he had a product to launch. So that means with his employer's knowledge and approval, he was actually developing a product. I don't know how many of you have heard Paras Wingify, his talk on bootstrapping. Anybody done that? Maybe that is also a very good thing you have to listen to. Because he talks about, it was his third or fourth idea. So he had built, I think, 3 other products and failed. Right? But he built the product while he was on a job. And he launched his product probably on the day he quit, and the first month itself, his expectation is to do some amount, and he did it 10x that amount. Right? He tells that story. It's very, very inspiring and good story to hear. Right? So that means that it fundamentally boils down to, are you willing to back your idea? Before you back your idea, you want an investor to back your idea, that's not going to happen. And if you back your idea, like Paras did, right, that's really a good thing. Then you can bootstrap. Right? Because he put extra time after coming home from work for many months to build the product. So on your second question of the funding and other things, right? See, as I said, some people, it's up to you, whether you want to build an institution, right? Or you want to build maybe a 5-year, 10-year company, you want to sell it and look at the next step, and things like that, right? You want to cash out exit, right? See, for us, from the beginning, maybe a lot of discussion is about how can it be an institution. Right? Then, like for example, I want to spend the next 6 months in changing the culture. For example, for me, like 3.5, 4 years back, everybody going home happy became my first most important thing. Maybe the next 1 year, I spent a lot of effort in making people align to, even making people express emotion was an 18-month project for me. Right? Because we think, like a lot of people in our office say emotion is normal. So then, you go and I looked at 180 words that is there to express emotion in English. There is nothing called normal in emotion. Right? So I learned how many words are there in English to express emotion and what are they. We gave a training to people. Because you have to first know how you feel. So you go and express your idea, how the other guy reacts. You measure that. Right? Don't sulk. But how can we improve? Because if I want to build a product that delights customers, then we have to have a culture where we delight each other. So now that becomes an important thing, then my sales become the secondary thing. I can afford to spend 12 months on this. Right? Saying, okay, if I do this, I know my sales will improve, my quality of product will improve, my own happiness while going from home will improve. I spent that. I'm very happy that I did. Whereas if I had taken some funding, I can't do that. I can't say I'm going to spend the next 12 months making sure everybody is happy in the office. Right?
How do you see yourself?
See, I think honestly, I don't see 10 years ahead. Right? It's not. See, then you build the expectation, then you get disappointed, disillusioned, right? Then you regret. All that happens, right? So while we have product roadmap and things like that, right? If they work, I'm happy. If they don't work, I'm happy. Right?
See, one of the things which you made it ready before you started your Go Frugal.
What are the
Things which you made it ready before starting your company. What are the regulations you have done?
No, as I said, I went around India. If I have to do a business in India, what can I build? So we decided on building software for the retailers because I thought that day that it's a low-hanging fruit. Consolidation is easy and things like that. But once we got in, we learned how difficult and challenging it is, kind of thing. So other than that, the moment, by nature, I am a little bit impatient in the sense, the moment I decided, okay, I will do it in India, then I decided we will do it for retail. Probably I should have done some homework. I didn't.
So, this brief of one of the homework this list of things.
No, I should have,
You build the business plan.
yeah, see, basically, I should have known the market better. I should have known,
Because traditionally people would say that you should have some getting customers in hand before you start a business. So without customers, you should not start a startup.
no, that's what is the product market fit. See, if you look at it, like in India, distribution is very important. How do we sell? Right? So we made a decision to sell direct. So in fact, the time I started the company, I read the direct from Dell book. I thought there is a big opportunity in the direct from Dell model for software. Right? I felt as a company, we need to have the direct connection with the customer. Then the customer collaboration improves, and we will be able to, build a more relevant product to the market. While I was right about that, right, in the sense that, like for the last 7-8 years, all customers and market acknowledge that we give the most comprehensive set of functionality and the best product in the market. But we could never get the distribution right, in the sense, running a all India field force, running a support center with all the Indian languages, where simple things like I hire my support guy from Chennai or from some other city, a Salem or a Coimbatore customer calls. He finds the Chennai guy disrespectful in talking. Because the communication style is very different in Coimbatore and Salem, but we pay a very heavy price for that, right? Because what is a normal conversation for a person in Chennai is a very disrespectful conversation for a person in Coimbatore or Salem. Right? I can't teach the Chennai guy how to be respectful. Right? Similarly, what is a standard business practice, business etiquette in Tamil Nadu? It so happens that a Gujarati thinks, we are not respecting customers. Right? So because we do a lot of 80-90% of the thing is about voice. In fact, for you, there is a guy called Mukund Mohan. I think he heads Microsoft Teams or something like that in India. He had written a blog a few years back, which is a wonderful read for people who want to do business in India. He says when a customer buys your software in India, he doesn't buy the product. He buys a telephone number to call. Right? You should probably go and read that article because he has also run a business for a couple of years in India, and I agree with him. Because anything and everything they will call, and they expect you to take the phone. Right? So this voice-based sales support, everything is really killing. It's very, very expensive, and it's not possible to be 100% responsive to customers on voice because so those are big challenges when it comes to operation.
What successful strategies you adopted from Zoho to Go Frugal? The successful strategies which you learned from Zoho, which you adopted to Go Frugal?
See, I carried my experience, so I am the same person because by nature I learn every day. I learn more from my failure every day, right? And success, both I analyze. So that means I brought in all the experience, right? So it is just that, one thing I recognized after maybe I failed in the first few years in Go Frugal was that whatever worked for me, whatever is my strength, I sort of gave low importance or low priority. So whatever is my weakness, right, and whatever is my things that I don't know, right, I gave more importance. For example, in Go Frugal, I took it for granted that we will build the product because we have defined the process, we have set up the team, and things will happen. So first 2-3 years, I spent 20-22 days a month traveling all over India, meeting a lot of customers and things like that. I didn't focus on my strength of building the product. I focused on the weakness of going and while I learned a lot from the market, I learned how different communities behave, how different families behave, how people make decisions and things like that. Probably I need not have learned that in that much depth. 3 years of my time wasn't worth it. I should have probably focused a lot more on building better products. So the biggest lesson I learned is, everybody has weakness, focus on your strengths. You win by focusing on your strength and not on your weakness. Right? And always hire people with complementary skill. So whatever is your weakness, you don't have to become an expert in that. Right? That's the biggest lesson I learned after burning 3-4 years of my time and a few crore rupees. So I decided to focus on my strength.
You follow the same hiring strategy as in Zoho or
Same?
hiring strategy? Like Zoho University takes people, new grads and bring them on board. Same hiring strategy you follow in Go Frugal?
No, we take a lot of freshers. We also do lateral hiring. Right? So I would say similar but not the same. Because there is no Go Frugal University or anything. We don't have the time or the bandwidth today. So,
Guys, 2 more questions here, running out of time.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would say at that time, for all the 10 years, we were sort of complementary to each other. Right? I also think as a person also, I think we are very complementary. So he reads a lot, I don't read at all. He thinks a lot, I don't think at all. Like that.
Normally, how do you validate your ideas?
Huh?
Normally, how do you validate your ideas?
Yeah, very good question. See, we explain it to a lot of people. So nowadays I have a 11-year-old daughter. So last 2-3 years I explained to her, right? And I explain it to probably many people I see in the office. Because every time I explain it, the idea gets refined. Every time I explain it, they ask some questions, the idea gets refined. And in fact, I think Margaret Heffernan will say in her talk, right? Every idea is like a newborn child. It's messy. So only with the collaboration, only with discussion, only when presenting that idea, reviewing it, the idea really gets mature. So if you keep cooking the idea in your mind and only in your mind, it probably get messier and messier.
There is one last question, so somebody is not asking question. So I'm starting up now. I'm beginning now. What do you think are the most important qualities that want to be an entrepreneur should cultivate?
What do you think?
Are the most important qualities, characteristics that want to be entrepreneur should cultivate?
See, I think you have to believe in yourself, so you shouldn't ask this question.
Don't say all these things and do not order and check the board.
Don't do that. See, it's like closing your eye and jumping, right? So you have to jump and believe that you are going to make it, no matter what. You will make it only if you believe, I can make it no matter what, because I am XYZ. I'm going to make it. That's it. Come what may. So I think that belief, because every day you meet people, 9 out of 10 people you meet will tell you, what all can go wrong. So it is your conviction, it is your belief, it is your own confidence, and it is your arrogance. That's not going to help you make it. I think even when I came back, I think 10 out of 10 people said that I am a fool. Right? Because in 94, people are only going from India to the US. 94, 95. Right? I had Qualcomm was a great company. I had stock options in Qualcomm. Right? So people thought I am a misguided fool. In fact, I'm lucky because I wasn't proved as a fool. I think luck plays an important role, but if you want to be successful, I think you have to believe yourself, you have to have conviction on your idea, and be a little bit arrogant about yourself, right? That you know what you are doing. At the same time, have an open mind to check and make sure you are on the right road. That's where this product market fit helps. Convince yourself, not somebody else first. Convince yourself that you have the right idea and you are on the right road. How do you?
Do pricing, arrive at a price. Because if you develop a product, how can you arrive at a price? Because most of the guys fail in doing it. Because I have a good product.
Yeah, I am also lousy at that. So, see, I think some of the guidelines are, if you are launching a product where already some incumbents are there, look at their pricing, benchmark your product, benchmark your service, and price it. Right? Because in most cases, price is not decided by you. Right? Price is decided by the market. For example, I choose to sell in India. So the affordability in the market is low. So I have a cloud SaaS service. For example, in the US market, vendors charge between $25 to $50 per user. We charge 500 rupees per user in India per month. Right? Still, people find our price to be high because there are on-premise vendors selling at 5,000 rupees one-time fee and on-call per call 100 rupees support. Right? So price is determined by the market. You have to know the market. You have to know the affordability of your customer. You have to know, how much volume you can get, how much volume you can service, how much effort in sales you can put. What is your distribution strategy? How many middlemen you have to feed? All that and design.
So,
Very hard question for Indian market.
can we take this offline?
This is real time problem which we are facing. Building a product target US market without having any operations in US. So how do we work actually? We have sales and support, obviously Indian accent, Indian also. When customers coming in with a car, as soon as they identify it, it's non-American. Maybe Indian or someone else. We are not getting response like we expect.
No, I think don't believe that reason because maybe there is something else is the problem. Maybe with the product, maybe with the way the product connects to the user, maybe how convinced the customer is and things like that. So first, don't believe that it is the Indian accent or the moment customers know it is from India and things like that, because they may not be the real reason. Because people are looking at, will the product meet my needs, right? And is it within my budget or attractively priced for me, right? Maybe your pricing is on par with the American product, right? Look at, don't first believe that it is the Indian accent or people taking call from India or something. Look at in product, pricing, packaging, user experience, the value proposition, right? How, if it's a do-it-yourself product, can customers see the benefit? How is the sign-up experience? Maybe do some analytics on that and things like that. Because the reason is definitely not what you said. The reason is in something else having to do with the product or the user experience or pricing or something else. No, don't believe that because I would say never in both Zoho and Go Frugal history, meaning always I would say 2/3 of the people we have hired. In the beginning, it is 90% of the people we have hired. For example, in the first 3-4 years of the company, there are many people for whom I have sat next to them, told them what to type in the support email response. Right, and I myself is very poor in English. Okay. But I had to help people type in English. Right? And we still won orders. Right? So I think whatever we say, if there is a customer who needs a product, if there is a product that can talk to the customer and say, yes, I can fulfill your need, the product sells. You don't need to know the language. In fact, if we have to explain something over and over again to the customer after making the customer experience the product, then the product has failed. So let's be upfront about it. Let's not put the blame on the guy who communicates because he is a middleman between the product and the customer. The product have to talk. The product experience have to talk to the customer.
Thank you so much. Can we give him a big round of applause?